We rise and unite, fueling the passion, igniting the light. Through highs and lows, we'll stand as one. A legacy, a tale that's just begun.
Riley, you got audio?
We roar, together
Yeah, I got nothing from you.
Detroit Lions will rise. With our hearts full of dreams and the fire in our eyes.
Gonna have to wait.
From the past to the future, we'll claim our road. In the home of the brave, we'll proudly have grown.
I know.
So let's lift our voices. Let's turn it up loud. For the love of the Lions, we'll always be proud.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Victory Sunday night. The Detroit Lions took down the Chicago Bears. And Benedict Johnson, man, belt to ass. Amazing display of offense. What did I tell you guys, man? Quit panicking. Quit worrying. They got it. And just about every call I made in the pregame show hit. Almost every single one. Hey, even Hutch got a sack tonight. Even Hutch got in on a groupie. It was a good night. It was a great night. As a matter of fact, come the third quarter, I just laughed. I was laughing. I just quit celebrating. I was just laughing the entire time, every time we scored a touchdown. Anyway, I apologize about being late. Let me try to get Riley in here. I don't know what the heck's happened, but anytime you stay away from the podcast for a while, it seems like we always have issues with audio. So let's see if we got audio tonight or not.
Let's see. Can you guys hear me?
Negative.
Negative.
I got nothing from you, man.
Son of a bitch.
It's weird because everything always works when it comes to this. And so the only thing that I could tell you is if you don't have it set to Rodecaster Pro Main in your computer, it won't work.
Yeah.
Which it should be. All right, give me just a second to mess with some things in the background and see if I can't get it fixed, and we'll get you in here. Let me get this thing off and running real quick. Riley, so they can hear you.
What?
I can't hear you. I got nothing.
They must have heard me.
I got nothing. So we'll just roll with it for a minute.
Okay.
Why don't I do this, man? Why don't you just run through a little bit about, what happened for you tonight? I'm not gonna be able to hear any of it. Let me see if there's something on my end that's not working, and let me get it fixed. So just run through whatever it is, man. Just whatever you want to say. Just talk about the night, and then I'll get into the chat in just a moment. I promise you guys, this will smooth out in about 10 minutes. Just give us like 10 minutes or less. We'll get it smoothed out. We'll get rolling.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. And I'm got the chat pulled up here. So yeah, if you guys can hear me, interesting, because we've been going back and forth for, 10, 15 minutes, trying to figure this out. I can clearly hear Will. He can't hear me, and I didn't want to hold up the show. So, but yeah, let me just verify the chat that you guys can see. And if anybody heard my cursing, obviously I was upset because I got a lot to talk about, man. I have a lot to say with this one. Where do you begin? This was a game where it was, so much was on the line. You started to think about, I remember watching last Monday Night Football, Vikings and Bears, and thinking, man, if the Bears win this game and they're 1-0 and they come to Detroit, and just imagining, not trying to get ahead of myself mentally, but just imagine if Ben Johnson comes in and they beat Detroit and they go to 2-0 and the Lions drop to 0-2. And that thought's even going through my head Thursday. By then we knew that the Bears had lost the first week, but thinking, man, the Packers 2-0, but what a difference a week can make. This was just incredible. That first drive, really the whole first quarter was back and forth. It was really competitive. And then somehow the gates just opened, and this was something where it was like the game felt over in the third quarter. So tons of thoughts for me on this, and it's trying not to be scatterbrained on it. But where do you start, man? It was I think I'll start here. Jared Goff. For anybody to have the assertion that without Ben Johnson, that this is not a franchise quarterback, how does 5 touchdowns sound? How does 15 straight completions sound? How does a 156 quarterback rating sound? I mean, this was just masterful from Jared Goff. This was, you put up 50 points. That when you talk about football, you say there's a best case, a realistic case, a worst case. This was best case for the Detroit Lions. This was best case for John Morton, best case for Dan Campbell, for Jared Goff, for the offensive side. You put up 50 points, letting up. You really could have scored more points, but it was just awesome. You had 5 different players with a touchdown. I was texting Will and Eric during the game thinking, man, it seems like, last year Montgomery was always the first to get the carries. Well, this was a pretty accurate, a pretty even split, but it was Gibbs that whole first quarter, it felt like, at least through most of it. And then they both end with 12 carries for Gibbs and 11 for Montgomery. Both had an impact, the exact Sonic and Knuckles that you want to see. Everything was clicking offensively. So just awesome. This is such a better feeling than what we experienced last Sunday. So just making sure here in the chat that everyone can hear me and I'm not just talking to myself and having these thoughts now that I've been having all day, saying them out loud. So just make sure, can you guys verify that you guys are able to hear me? That you guys are able.
Yeah, Riley, you're good, man. And I'm trying to listen on the back end, so there's going to be a little bit of a delay between me and you. So when I'm done talking, you got to pause for a little bit. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what has changed and why all of a sudden I can't hear you. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know what has happened, but I can't shut off my computer or restart now because we'll lose the stream. So we're just going to have to try to deal with it, I guess, and then pause for a few seconds and then wait, and then I'll mute, and then I'll have to listen to you on the back end. It's freaking stupid. What a night to have technical issues, because this is the best display of football that we've seen in a year. I mean, clearly the first week was not good, right? The first week was absolutely atrocious. The Lions couldn't get anything moving, but here's what I heard, right? Here's what I heard. Here's what I read all week long is that it was Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, my mixologist, the guy that I call the mixologist, it was all him. It was Jared Goff and him not having Ben Johnson or Sean McVay. I heard that. Jared Goff is trash, and we knew that it was too good to be true. These are all the things that we kept hearing all week long. Or Davenport was trash, and Hutch is going to have 65 sacks this season, and he's the real answer. We need somebody opposite of Hutch. Who got the first sack tonight? And no, I don't care that he injured his shoulder. I don't. Shit happens, right? I don't care. You're paying the dude less than $2 million. I don't care. He got the first sack before your boy that's about to make $50 million. So we saw some amazing things happen from all across the field tonight, whether it was Davenport, Hutch finally, Muhammad, Tyleek knocking down a couple of passes at the line of scrimmage, Branch erasing the interception for Terrian. But man, let's talk about this offense too. They just went gangbusters. Jared, he hit 9 guys? I don't even have any stats open right now. He hit 9 guys, on the offense for a pass, I think, tonight. And over 500 yards of offense. So 355 yards of passing. I got to get stats open. Just insane. Just absolutely insane. The calls that I made, plus 65 for Gibbs, plus 55 for Monty. Gibbs to get a TD, Monty to get a TD near the goal line. We hit it all. I mean, I was probably 85, 90% on the calls. I haven't gone through all of them yet. I'll do that tomorrow, and I'll do the Rocks Locks final for the week. And we'll tally up the scores and see where I hit. But look, I expected this. I expected it because I expected him to do the things. What was the number one call, Riley? If you weren't in last week, but the number one call I had, which a lot of you in the chat are going to remember. It looks like there's some big donations coming in. I'll get right to that. Just one sec. Is Jared Goff using his legs. I wanted Jared Goff to roll out to his right, get mobile, spread him open, spread that defense. Remember, we spread them horizontally, right? Not vertically, but horizontally. Once you get them wide open like that, Jared's going to pick you apart. And it's exactly what he did. I watched Jared Goff tonight drop back, roll out, roll right, roll left, climb the pocket, get back into the pocket, climb again, roll to his left, and then hit Laporta on, I don't even know how he saw him. I don't even know how he saw Laporta. Or that back shoulder throw that everyone thought was way behind Jameson Williams. That's practiced. And you heard Jared Goff talk about that after the game. These are the things that they do. Pinpoint accuracy, the thing that I've been talking about with Jared Goff and his ability on field for 4 seasons now. People doubt his accuracy. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. These catches to Tesla, do you think that's by mistake? How many of that stuff do we believe is practiced? Some amazing catches, some amazing ability. But they practice this stuff. So I've said enough for a moment. I want to hear what your responses are to all that. And let me keep working on the back end.
Yeah, so first play of the game from scrimmage, play action, 34-yard gain to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who had a monster day. And you guys tell us in the chat, who is your player of the game? Which way do you go? Hell, you could go John Morton for bouncing back the way he did. You could go with Jared Goff for 156 QB rating, was a perfect 158 rating through 3 quarters. That's not normal. That's not what he did last year against the Seahawks on Monday Night Football. That type of stuff, when you start having more than one of these, it's like, dude, this guy does things that not every quarterback can do. And in fact, I don't know if there's 10. There may not be 6 that can do these things. Is Jared Goff what we saw today? And here's another thing. 46. It's been 46 games, not including the playoff game, obviously, but 46 regular season games dating back, I think, to 2022, since the Lions have had back-to-back losses. Jared Goff thrives behind the 8 ball. And he talked about that going into the season. He said, I don't mind if we're not the highly, publicized or favored or Cinderella team that everyone's loving. This is when he performs his best. This is when he gives us his best performances. So I don't know that I expected 156 rating again, because I don't know at the end of the season how many quarterbacks will have put up that rating in a single game. It's not going to be very many. But what Jared Goff did today, I just can't say enough. And like Will mentioned, he's throwing the ball to everybody. My sister Sky texted me at halftime. She's got JMO on her fantasy team. She's like, he's not giving me anything. I said, it's coming. I promise you it's coming. 65-yard, simple little catch that JMO just outruns all these people, picks up 65 yards. And then that touchdown was reminiscent last year in Chicago, where Williams has 10 yards between him and then the defender closest to him. That's like an easy walk-in touchdown. They're just surgical, and they're just being patient. I imagine if you ask Jared Goff on any snap of the football, are you good if this goes to Jameson Williams? He's probably going to say, yeah, but sometimes it's going to take until the third quarter. But once it opens up, man, that was death by 1,000 cuts for Chicago today. And I tuned into some Bears shows today, and it's comical to hear. And I get it. I do understand the emotion of it. But they're acting like the NFL's rigged, and that for the Lions, for the Detroit Lions, when did that become a thing? When did the refs start favoring the Lions? The call right before the half, it was goofy. I understand it. Finally, the Lions benefited from that 10-second runoff rule. Well, I'm sure we'll get into that. But man, just from the outset, Jared Goff, play action, 34 yards to Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think it was 5 plays, touchdown. Second drive, 4 plays, touchdown. They're just moving the ball. That's what I obviously wanted to see against Green Bay. We'll take that every Sunday, right? But just to see, and if you guys have these guys on your fantasy teams, you love it because you want Gibbs to get a shot. Well, he's going to get it. You want St. Brown to 3 touchdowns. Hell, you have Tesla. He'll get his one-handed catch. You want Laporta. He'll be involved. You want Montgomery. He's going to come in and get the goal line. It just, this had shades of last year's 15-2 Lions team, and it just was such a good feeling. It was so refreshing, and it's like, man, I remember this feeling. I love this feeling because the Lions haven't lost a lot, so it's an unusual feeling. Last week was painful, but we took it on the chin, and you bounce back, and that's what I love is seeing how this team responded. You defended Ford Field, just an outstanding performance from Dan Campbell, from Jared Goff, and that's not even to get into the defensive side of things yet. I think Will might still be working on this here with audio, but tell again in the chat.
All right. So, I mean, you said a lot there, and I'm trying to pay attention to as much as I can. I can't get this fixed. I hope that everyone has my audio now. Give me just a sec.
Let us know, guys, in the comments, your player of the game.
Sounds like you do. I apologize. This is not the quality that we try to put together here. This is not a normal for us. Once in a great while, we have the Monday, meltdowns of technological issues. But it's not like this, man. Something's tragically wrong here, and I just don't know what it is. And it's going to ruin the show because we can't communicate. We can't communicate at a high level. But I can't go on any further without recognizing a couple of people in the chat. Number one, first and foremost, the people that really help this move and shake every single day is the mod crew, and I can't thank you all enough. You guys are awesome, man. You know who you are, and even if you're not a mod, there's some people that are behind the scenes that do a great job, and have been involved in this. And there's some big donors, man. We have some big donations in tonight. Jody Carithers and Better the Hunt. Jody says 50 for 50 plus burger. There you go, man. I love it. So proud of the team and my Lions friends. Thanks, Will and Riley, for Postgame Live. I wish it was better for you guys. I really do. We're going to try to limp through this as best we can tonight. But you guys know I always appreciate you. You always have our back, and you're right there with your support. So thank you, Jody. And of course, Randy, man. Better the Hunt, dude, says, hey, I see your 50 and love it, Jody. Here's the first win of the year, $50 from Better the Hunt. And I love it, man. Appreciate you, Randy. Big supporter of the channel. You guys are awesome. Without you, this doesn't work. And then, of course, the members, the mods, are the members, the subscribers, the audience, the listeners, the watchers. It's all you. You guys are why we're here. And I appreciate all of you. Of course, there's the bigger purpose for this channel, which is cancer survivors and cancer warriors. And that's where all this goes, man. That's our number one focus here. After your Detroit Lions is, and while we're doing this, like I had Andy Isaac in my face all day today, man. Like World of Isaac, and it's been a year now almost without Andy. And today there were some tributes to Andy and him. The F the Bears, where it really began, was really him. And the Saturdays and eating your food on camera on Saturdays and just kind of going from place to place. That was all him. Today was for Andy. Absolutely. It was, like I said in my Twitter post, like, this is the most beautiful thing you're going to see all day. And it's Andy. And the funny things that he does and the way that he's able to just kind of pull you out of, the crud that you're in, especially if you're a cancer warrior, man. I mean, it doesn't even matter what you're going through. Everyone goes through crazy stuff. The Lions, we've been through some crazy stuff. We've been at the bottom of the league for a long time, and I think today should make you feel very good. They would have made Andy feel real good. He would have loved it, man. He probably would have ripped off about 100 tweets today, at least. And every single one of them would have ended with an F the Bears. So there's a lot of things that I wanted to queue up tonight. I'm probably going to do a lot of it tomorrow, simply because of the audio issues that I have. I don't even know if they're going to play. But I'll give you kind of a glimpse of what I'm going to bring in throughout the week. I've got a play of Aiden Hutchinson. Riley has seen it. Now, I'm not going to give it away. Can't give it away, Riley. But it's like the what the F moment. Like, what is going on here? What are you doing? And it was pretty sketchy. The whole kiss to the crowd thing after the sacks. I'm glad that he got in on that. I think it was a half a sack because it was kind of a team sack. I don't know if they credited him with the whole thing yet. I'm glad that he got it, right? But this defense tonight, so everyone understands, was not 100% getting after Caleb was not the only answer. What I had mentioned throughout the week is watching a defense that was going to play contain and doing a lot of what the Vikings did. When Caleb rolled a certain way, they were going to be there. It would force him to go the other direction. He would have an immense amount of pressure at times. It may not look or feel like pressure. But I'll tell you what, man, our DBs were able to hold, which allowed Caleb to have to hold the ball. He couldn't throw the ball. That ball was thrown into the dirt so many times tonight. I couldn't believe it. And you knew at some point he was coming out the game. And maybe Ben just pulled him out to save him for another day, or maybe he's benched next week. I doubt, but we'll see. Interesting stuff tonight. But Calvin Shepard called a hell of a game. John Morton called a crazy good game. But here's the funny part of it. How many of those plays look really familiar? All of them. Almost all of them. There was a couple of weird sets that they did offensively that I haven't seen before. The Amon-Ra, using Amon-Ra behind the line of scrimmage a couple of times. I mean, they've done that before. That's a Ben Johnson move, right? But doing it more than a couple of times in a game, I think it probably wears out its welcome. It's not going to work as often. But what did the Lions do good tonight? Riley, I know you said you pulled down some stats. I want to pull up the box score real quick. And kind of run through it. I'll make a couple of comments. I'll pause, and then you can stumble bum your way in. That stumble bum. I missed it. I totally missed it. I was too busy trying to take some video that I could cut up later. Let me give you the lines again. I don't know if Riley already gave you all this, but Caleb was 19 of 30, 207 yards, 6.9 average, 2 TDs, 1 interception. Should have been multiple interceptions. 4 sacks, 44.1 QBR, 91.9 rating. That is terrible. The 91 rating's not terrible, but I mean, barely over 50% completion percentage. What's he running? 60% there? And 6.9 average. And why I'm going to point that out is because Shep told you guys last week, he got all heated and pissed off. I think it was Thursday with the media saying, look, you take away those 2 explosives, what happens? This is a different team. It's a different defense. And he was spot on. Calvin knows what he has. And he was really aggressive today. They weren't blitzing a ton, but they were really aggressive, at least from what I could see from my vantage point, right? I got to watch the game back. On the ground, DeAndre Swift, only 63 yards on 12 carries, 5.3 average. That's about 1.5 yards more than we want him to have per carry. Kyle Menangi, not much better, only 28 yards. As a team, they put in 134 yards. That's 35 more yards than we want to allow any team to run on us. But they still did a great job by holding the Bears to under 340 yards on the night. Rome Odunze, their leading receiver tonight, 7 of 128, 2 TDs, 11 targets. I mean, he had a decent night. I think that Terrian had some difficulty at times. We have to be honest about that. Terrian had some difficulty at times tonight. There was a couple of times he ended up on his ass, and he's kind of looking around like, what happened? There's the ball. You know, like he didn't even know where the ball was. And he's going to have to clean that up. He did not look great today. He did okay. He would have had the interception, but he didn't look great. Not yet. Overall, they played a really good game. Now, anything you want to comment on the Chicago side?
Yes. And here's what I'm going to say. I've made no bones about it that just from a talent standpoint, that I think Caleb Williams, had I been a Chicago Bears fan, I would have been elated to have the first pick and to take this guy. There's times where he does stuff where you're like, dude, that's insane God-given talent. What I've always wondered about him is the leadership and the personality. If it was going to be something where he, is he coachable? Are the guys on the team going to love actually playing for him? I sent Will and Eric a post. I'm sure you guys saw it, or a photo that was circulating. I hate to be the body language doctor or judge everything on that, but there's the Lions at this point it was like 31-14. They're clearly starting to really pull away with the game, and he's just on the sideline smiling. And I'm listening to a Chicago Bears channel. They are literally having the conversation about, somebody said, I'm burning my Caleb Williams jerseys. And then they start having a conversation in there about, man, and just at least, donate them to a shelter. And I get it. They're having this conversation, but you guys have Ben Johnson now, who I feel like is a good football coach. Is he a great head coach? That's a different aspect of it. You have Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick. You've got Ben Johnson. That should be enough, even though it's the second game of the season. If the Lions are nothing without Ben Johnson, if this was all Ben Johnson's creation, this offense, and Goff's success was more Ben Johnson than Jared Goff, the Lions wouldn't have done what they did today. So their quarterback is being benched. The game was out of hand. I don't think he's going to be benched next week, but at that point, I'm not too worried about Chicago until we see him later again this year. But again, it's just to compare and contrast. And, they folded. Chicago folded.
Hey, hold on 1 sec. 1 sec, buddy. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
All right. I got you all of a sudden. Do we have echo anywhere?
I can hear myself.
You should be able to hear yourself.
I mean, echoing.
You hear an echo.
I can, yeah.
Does anybody in the chat hear an echo? No echo on their side. All right, so you have an echo on your side. That explains a lot. Un momento, por favor. I hate to cut you off like that because you're on a roll. I apologize, but all of a sudden I clicked something and it started to work.
You're good, man.
My apologies.
No, don't apologize. You're good.
All right, let me change these two things real quick and let's see if it gets better. All right, do you still have an echo?
Test? I do, yeah.
Can you deal with it for right now?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, let's roll. Keep on rolling. I hate to cut you off. And before you roll, my apology. Big shout out to Joseph C. $5 donation says, I like how we look in the third quarter without Ben Johnson. Ha ha. Let's go on to the next one. Ravens is going down. Joseph C., I'm glad that you brought that up because one of our segments is called the Morton effect. And it's something that we've been wanting to track and watch this whole season. The biggest thing that we've had to deal with in the last couple of seasons is the third quarter. So we will get into that here momentarily. How did the Lions look in the third quarter? We both got quiet. Okay, 1 sec. Auto gain control. Just double check your audio. See if make sure it's set. Oh, mine's good. Mine stayed.
Yeah, mine's good.
Okay, so go ahead, Riley. Continue what you were saying, and I'll keep working in the background.
Yeah, I just think for me, it was a case of comparing and contrasting Caleb Williams being benched or pulled. Ben Johnson didn't get on the plane with his team fly out here and say, we're going to be calling the game in the third quarter. We're waving the white flag in the third quarter. But that's what happened. And Bears fans are obviously upset because they had that game. They were up 11 going into the fourth quarter against Minnesota last week. And then they're feeling like they're that close and already wondering if they need to move on from Caleb Williams. If Ben Johnson is the coach you hired him to be, that you hire the coach that you think he is, you do not have to get rid of Caleb Williams. That's a huge reason he went to Chicago. So if they already have this conversation, like I don't think he's it. That's a totally different conversation. I'm thankful to have Jared Goff. He came out and played arguably the best game of his career. But when I asked
Riley, 1 sec. Riley, 1 sec. Now something else changed. You keep fading in and out, and then the audio dropped, I guess. I didn't hear an audio drop on the back end, but someone said they heard an audio drop. Gosh darn it, man.
We'll figure. Yeah, if my audio is not good and I need to speak less,
No. Because I'm getting the ooh like that. It's coming in and out like it's. I don't know. I've never heard it do this before, and I don't know why it's doing this today. It's
Randy
just
says, "Talk, Riley. Can
it's,
you
a,
hear me?"
it's an absolute mess. Auto gain controls off.
My audio is acting like a Chicago Bear.
What's that?
I said my audio is acting like a Chicago Bear tonight.
Yeah, well, it's like every other syllable.
Hmm.
Okay, I got to flip this back on. I'm not going to be able to hear you. All right, go ahead and go. Oh, now you just got kicked out of the stream. All right, now go ahead and go.
All right. Okay. My echo's gone, so hopefully, yeah, you guys in the chat can hear me. But yeah, I mean, there's so many thoughts, like I said, that I have in this game, and it's wild to compare and contrast and it's 2 games. It's not written off, but just to see the Bears fold the way that they did, there was this whole thing at halftime. Oh, the ref just gave the game to the Lions. No. Dude. You give up 50 points and you fold like that, and your quarterback gets benched. That's a lot. But this is what Ben Johnson asked for when he took the job. Again, and I understand he went to the division. I understand that the players would feel betrayed. I do understand that. I also feel like if Ben Johnson felt like that was the best situation for him, fine, fair play. But now you got to come to Detroit, and it makes me feel silly that I was at all worried about this game. I was confident that the Lions would win, but I was confident that the Lions would win last week, and they didn't. But again, today felt like last year's 15-2 Lions. It was good to see so many players make plays. You just see like this team can beat you in many different ways. And Gibbs has 12 carries. Montgomery has 11 carries. They could have kept milking that. They could have, it was like take what the defense gives you, but make them give you what you want, kind of a thing for the Lions offense. They just played such a good game today, and it was great to see them cross the 50-point mark, just to say, hey, we got it. But even if they didn't hit 50 points, this was a dominant performance. And again, it was interesting to hear Bears fans feel like the Lions of all teams were being favored here by the refs. But audio seems like it's better now on my end. So yeah, I asked who the player of the game was for a lot of people in the chat. Got a lot of different names. One of them was the O-line, just as a unit, which relative to last Sunday, I mean, that was again best case scenario. Like I said, if I just wanted the line to hold up today. Every play, almost every snap of the football, it just felt like, oh man, Goff has all the time in the world. They just, as a unit, played so much better than they did last week, and that's exactly what you want to see from a team, like the Lions. To as a unit, each player plays better. Obviously, the unit plays better as a whole, but that starts with Jared Goff. It starts with communication all week throughout practice and confidence that no, we know we're better than this. Now they just had a chance to go prove it today, and it led to 50 points. So now if you're John Morton, if you're Jared Goff, if you're Dan Campbell, if you're anybody on this side of the ball for the Lions, how are you not just beaming with confidence now? Now you have to continue to go do it, and next week will be a great challenge. But that sets things up for a great Monday Night Football game next week against Baltimore. I cannot wait for that game. But my thoughts are kind of scattered. But again, there's so many. There's the statistics of it. The Lions just played extremely, extremely well today. And Caleb Williams fans in Chicago, they are literally talking about Bagent, the backup Tyson Bagent would be better for them long term. Crazy, because there's no way when you hired Ben Johnson that you thought after game 2 that would be the narrative. Hired Ben Johnson.
All right, let me try something real quick. Okay, do you have audio?
I do, yes.
Do you have echo?
I do.
You still have echo?
Yeah.
Mm. This is just insane. How about now?
Test. Yeah. Do you want me to jump out and back in?
Yeah, you could try that.
Yeah.
You could try that.
Okay.
No, I don't think it's gonna matter, but you can try it. All right. So again, I apologize, everybody, and I appreciate you guys sticking with us through this. Technical difficulties really suck. I didn't hear a lot of what Riley was talking about because I'm trying to fix the stuff on the back end, but I just want to run through some of my notes. I'll wait for him to get back in, but I at least want to bring you guys through. I at least want to bring you guys through what I saw, and when I was sitting making notes in the stands, like I do, like at every practice. I'm gonna go back from the very beginning here. The Lions' second offensive series was first down. Let's see, Brown was on a deep cross. He caught it in a very tight window. Jared Goff really refit that ball in a very tight window to start the game. I mean, that if he's hitting those types of passes, you already knew it was going to be a good day. Goff missed or had a miscommunication with J-Mo, and right, this was huge. This was on that first down. I don't think that this was the play where they had that deep bomb, but then they went and they pitched it to Gibbs for 6 yards. And then on the third down, Goff used his legs to roll out, escaping pressure, and the ball was thrown late. And then it was a punt, right? And they pinned the Bears deep at the 6-yard line. I got to tell you, man, our special teams tonight was insanely good. Not only in the punt game, I mean, I think there was one run back by the Bears that was a little bit suspect, but Bates, every kickoff was like at the half-yard line every single time. And our guys were able to get down there. And I would say that even without having the stat in front of me, I would say that their average starting position was probably the 25 to 27-yard line, which is really good in with this new style of kickoff procedure. I think it's really good. Definitely couldn't have done much better. I'll put it that way. They definitely couldn't have done much better than what they did tonight. Let me dial back some of these ads. You guys are probably getting killed. All right, Riley's back in. Let me try to bring him back in. And if I can't get it fixed this time, I'm just gonna have to leave it alone for tonight. Okay. All right. Audio and echo.
I can hear you, and I do hear a little echo, but that's fine.
Gosh, dang it. Yeah, but if it's gonna be the every other syllable, that's not good.
Yeah. If that's the case, chat, just let me know, and I'll just listen in.
Nah. I don't want to do all that. I think it's fine. I guess the way we're rolling with it, it's just I just have to be able to pay attention and not screw around in the back end. This really sucks, man. One of the biggest nights of the season, and this whole thing is just pissing me off, honestly. May have to fix this one more time. All right, you should be back in, but I'm probably not going to be able to hear you, so.
And I'm glad I don't have to even deal with the emotion of what that would have been. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough division. We all do understand that, but I think the Bears are pretty.
Okay, so let me finish running through some of the things that I was seeing, up in the stands tonight. First down. This was the Bears' second series. Hutch got schooled on a fake reverse play. This happened on a couple of plays tonight. And matter of fact, one of the video segments that I'm going to show probably tomorrow, if I can get it dialed up in time, it might be Tuesday, is, man, he could have had a big stop. And I don't know if it's Hutch just trying to get his legs underneath him right now or what, but man, he could have had such a big stop right there. In misdirection, it's his enemy right now. It's his arch nemesis. I mean, he just can't. It's like squirrel. You know what I mean? And it's like the ball's going the other way. And it's like Hutch is still going that way. And it's like, where are you going? What are you doing? And he's missing it every single time. He has to have more awareness. So when I hear people complain about getting pressure, and I hear people complain about, we need someone on the opposite end of Hutch, you guys have to accept the fact that Hutch is not perfect. He's far from it. And he made some big mistakes tonight. And had we not had the defense dialed up to the degree that we did, it really could have hurt us. If Caleb actually could have thrown the football, I mean, he hit Odunze well, but just about everybody else, I mean, he failed in a lot of respects and some big plays and some big opportunities. And he got lucky. Hutch got lucky on a few plays. Great defense against the run. I mean, there was a lot of holding on the Bears that didn't get called, and there's a lot of holding that didn't, or they got declined, honestly. Bears had to burn a timeout, and then they passed it to the left, and it was stopped short. Then there was a punt. It was a decent return by Leaf. I think we got to the 50-yard line, and so then we get into our third series. It was a Monty run off of Tate Ratledge for about 3 yards, and then there was offsetting penalties. Inside pressure got to Goff. Otherwise, Goff uses his legs. He climbs the pocket, and he gets the ball to Leaf for the first down. We get to the next first down. Goff climbs the pocket again and delivers a strike to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Fights to the half-yard line. One of my calls, which you're going to hear probably Tuesday when I have time to put this stuff together, one of my calls in the pregame show is I said, if it just so happens we get a couple of big plays where we end up going out around the 4 or the 5 or the half-yard line, Monty would get his opportunity around the goal line. And that happened a handful of times tonight, it seemed like. There was a couple of big plays that the one with J-Mo, he was trying to score really bad. He got down to like the 5. I think there was the one with Tesla, obviously before the second, before halftime. And then there was, I think there was the one with Amon-Ra St. Brown. The point is these guys fought for every inch tonight. You could tell that it was different. It meant something different to them. And they should act that way every game. Every game, they just need to see Ben Johnson across the sideline. Brian Branch probably said too much tonight. He's probably going to get in trouble. Definitely by Dan Campbell, but he said too much tonight. Kind of saying how pissed off he was at Ben Johnson, which obviously a lot of the fans were. And Jared Goff went pure class tonight and said Ben probably didn't deserve that. And at the same time, you hear our own players say he deserved every bit of it. I mean, we didn't care what he did. He said the word, he meant to say betrayed, but he said like betrayed it or something, he didn't say it right. And like one of the media guys, I felt was kind of trolling him a little bit. Like, was that a word? Like, what did you just say there? Was that even a word? Like, come on, man. Like, really? But anyway, Monty gets his TD, so that was a rock's lock. Bears third offense, second down, obviously a huge hold on Terry and Arnold during the run that was not called. And then they get a first down. There was a long ball that could have been picked. And then second down, midfield, it was single high safety. And it was a nice bullet by Williams for the first down, again, on TA. They get to the first down. We run zone. There was a pass to Swift on the left side and another gain of 3 yards. They get into second down. We run zone again. I was like, wow, zone a couple of times. Well, wait a second. That was another rock's lock. My biggest thing for this defense was pattern matching. It is something that you heard from Jared Goff the other day. It's a term that I haven't used a whole lot. But it's exactly what our defense did. A lot of the time you would see us just sit in single high all damn game. And tonight it was zone. The next play, man, cover 2. Single high, cover 2. Single high, cover 2. They're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So we never gave Caleb Williams the opportunity to get comfortable. And then what the Bears did really well tonight is they went up tempo right away with their first series. And they trapped us on the field. They had the right looks that they felt were the right looks on the field. And they were able to push the ball. But once we got into like that third or fourth series, like this is the third series, we started to mix things up a little bit more, and that's where you started to see our defense really start to come alive. We still didn't have a ton of pressure. We didn't even have a sack yet, right? But we didn't even have a ton of pressure. Like, we were pushing Caleb around, but we are forcing him to go places he did not want to go, which was to his left. Again, I felt that Calvin Shepard did an excellent job dialing up the right defense tonight. Finishing out this Bears, third offense, second down, huge hit. You could hear it. So we were in 243 tonight, and you could hear that hit by Branch all the way up top when he knocked that fumble, when he knocked the ball out. And maybe it wasn't him. It might have been Campbell or somebody behind him, but you could hear that helmet smack something all the way up in 243. And they were like, where were they? They were the 30 or the 40 or something like that. It was pretty far away. So we get the ball back. Here is my disappointment, which obviously Twitter has a lot more of my thoughts, which I'll have to grab and organize them for Tuesday. But man, we get turnovers, we get opportunities. The offense gets the ball, and Morton goes to this junk. Like, you're running the ball, it's not working. You run it again. You're doing the short stuff. It's not working. They did that on like 3 series tonight. And Jared Goff, I got some idiot on Twitter said, "You're a clown. You don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah." Morton, has pushed the ball downfield and whatever, right? He's calling me a clown. And I'm like, okay, well, Jared Goff just said it right after the damn game. He said the same thing. We can't have turnovers and not come away with points. Like, we have to call better plays. We have to execute at a higher level. It was the play calling. It wasn't the execution. How could you, they didn't execute, but you know what I'm saying. How do you execute every other play, but those two opportunities where you get the ball on defense? Both times. We left 14 points on the board. Imagine, what was it, 28 to 7 or 10 or something like that at half? Imagine if we throw 20 or 14 more points on top of that. J-Mo, he had a rough game in the beginning. He literally had 2 catches tonight for 108 yards. 54 yards a catch. And, man, they bracketed him down the entire game. And I kept seeing people say, get it to J-Mo, get it to J-Mo. He couldn't go anywhere. He was bracketed the entire game. There was some other missed opportunities in this game that I saw on the offense. Isaac TeSlaa, I turned to Megan, I say, look, Isaac TeSlaa is singled up on the left side. There's no single high safety. There's no safety coverage at all. It's got to be going to TeSlaa. And it didn't. Jared climbed the pocket, ended up getting the ball out to, it might have been to Khalif. No, it was to Gibbs. But man, that was a missed opportunity. You send TeSlaa deep right there. That's a tutty. It's speaking of TeSlaa for a minute, and then I'm gonna throw it back to you. This dude has 2 catches on two attempts, 2 catches. Probably the 2 biggest highlight reels that you see maybe once of every 5 years in the NFL, and both of his catches are like that. This guy's gonna be special. He's going to be really good. So tell me about TeSlaa, man. What'd you think about his performance tonight, even though it was limited?
Yeah, just his presence out there is noticeable, which for a rookie is extremely impressive. The first time I really noticed him on the screen, he was blocking. It was post-play. I'm sure everyone else saw it too, and I don't know what Bear player it was, but they're still shoving each other after the play, and you just love it. It's like when Penei Sewell as a rookie got toe-to-toe with Aaron Donald, and it's not a matter of disrespecting the opponent, but it's also saying like, no, I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. You're going to have to deal with me. The one-handed catch, it was kind of marred because again, there was now so much, and that was right when I switched over to a Bears channel. I'm like, oh, let me go see what they're thinking here. And I will say that the Bears channel I was listening to, the guy Harrison Graham, he's outstanding. The dude is brilliant, really intelligent, does a really good job. So I was curious to see what his thoughts were. And, again, I understand the emotion of it. You're feeling like you just got robbed. But by rule, it is what it is. Yes, the Lions benefited from the rule that the ref called. And, it added to it that the Lions didn't just take 3 points, which is what I was thinking. Okay, well, cool. Now they can at least get a field goal. There's still 6 seconds. No, run a play, go for the end zone, be aggressive. That's what Dan Campbell does. And, but man, for Tesla to make that catch, it was timely, obviously. And you just look forward to the game where he starts to get into a rhythm where it's not just a reception, a one-handed reception, but imagine when he's getting 2, 3 and a quarter and really starts to get in a rhythm. But he's a guy that you know what you're going to get regardless of what the box score says. And I think that's why Brad Holmes loved him so much. He just is a winning football player. It's clear. His value goes beyond the stats. And the catches are just amazing. And I can't wait to see him get more volume. And he adds an element with St. Brown, with JMO, with Laporta, it's just, I love it, man. We feel spoiled for all of the offensive weapons that the Lions have, and then to be quarterbacked by Jared Goff is awesome. And I imagine he and Tesla will just continue to develop chemistry. So who in the chat here has ordered their Tesla jersey? I'm sure Eric already has one of every color. You probably do too, Will.
Right. I need to get me one. So you bring up an embarrassment of riches, right? We absolutely have that in Detroit. It's an embarrassment of riches. Here's what's crazy about Tesla. This guy that's flying under the radar, just this very humble, cool, calm, collected kid out of Hudsonville, Michigan. Lions fan his whole life. Gets an opportunity. Lions trade a few third-round picks. People crash out about it. I initially was not happy, and then I thought about it, and then I was like, yeah, I think it's good. At least what we gave up for him. They had no idea what he's going to be yet, but at least the trade I thought was okay. Those 2 catches, that's already made up for one of those third-round picks. Number one, the touchdown in Green Bay was worthless at the time, but yet it's not because we got the touchdown. Right? We couldn't go scoreless. We couldn't not get a TD. Second is that that catch before half. Not only did it set us up for a touchdown, right? And I do want to talk about the ref thing, so don't let me forget. Not only did it set us up for a touchdown, but man, did we embarrass the shit out of the Bears. Ben Johnson has zero control over his team. The entire team starts coming onto the field to go into the locker room, and we're all wondering, like, what the hell? They must have said that it was no good or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then next thing you know, the ref points this way like it's a first down for Detroit, something. I'm like, what just happened? And so then we just started laughing at Ben. And a lot of the F off Ben chant started, and everyone's laughing, and they're just, walking, moping with their heads down back to the sideline. And the play later, you're in the end zone. So we got a couple of things out of this. We got 7 points. We got to embarrass the crap out of the Bears. Not once, but twice. And that whole thing happened. It happened after the touchdown again, just about. And they finally just went into the locker room with 2 seconds left on the clock. Pretty sure you have to run the play, right? Now I want to walk it back here and talk about the ref thing because, again, I sent the clips out. I posted it all over Twitter. Ben said in his post-game press conference that there was a ref next to him the entire time and said that they called him out of bounds, and then it was reviewed, and he was caught it, possession, went out of bounds, which stops the clock. And that there should have been a 10-second runoff. Well, that should have effectively ended the half then, right? Where were these magical 16 seconds at? Because there was not 16 seconds on the clock that I remember. I haven't gone back to watch the tape. Was there 16 seconds on the clock when Tesla caught that ball and went out of bounds? There was. Okay. Well, then if that's the case, then that made sense as to why they put 6 seconds back on the clock.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
we didn't get in any sort of an explanation. It was so rowdy in there, we couldn't have heard it anyway. So if they did put 6 seconds back on the clock, then it makes more sense to me. But then Ben said something like something wasn't explained to them about this whole situation. They thought that the half was over. So if he thought that there was a 10-second runoff, that's what I didn't understand. Then that would have made sense that it would have went from 6 to 0, right? Then they're leaving the field. So that's where I'm confused about this whole thing. Are you 100% positive that there was 16 seconds? Go ahead. I'll mute.
No, you're good, man. I like getting that perspective. It's obviously something I was going to ask what the viewpoint was from being inside the stadium, because as I was watching, my mind's racing. I'm trying to take out my phone and take a replay of that highlight to send to my friend Bobby, who I was pleading with him to draft him in his dynasty draft. So I'm like, dude, this guy is awesome. And then now all of a sudden there's this chaos ensues with, there's zeros on the clock. If the Lions were not, and I actually text you and Eric, I'm like, that's the same damn thing that happened last year against Tampa, where they didn't execute and they cost themselves 3 points at the end of the half. And it's funny how the brain stores those things, and you have this PTSD, because I remember being so mad about that for like a week. Didn't know the Lions were going to go on and win 15 games and it was going to be fine from there. But anyway, there were 16 seconds. And because the ref called Tesla being out of bounds, that was his mistake. The Lions benefited from that. So now it was, now they've got to, hey, by rule, there's a 10-second runoff, which, so there's still 6 seconds, which, the Lions didn't have a timeout to burn at that point. So, they benefited from the ref making a mistake, but that's the ref making a mistake, not, the Lions, any team. That's what you do. Okay. All right, we'll take it. We snapped the ball again, and I love that Dan Campbell didn't just say, okay, Jake, go out, get us 3, let's get out of here. Demoralizing for Chicago. I understand why they were upset, but you take what you're given. So, I love that the Lions said, okay, you're going to give us that gift. We're going to go for a touchdown. And when the Lions got that touchdown, that's when it was like, okay, they're going to, they're just going to start imposing their will. And I think that really broke Chicago, which after Rome got a second touchdown, they were thinking, okay, we're right here. And then all of a sudden it was, except you're not, and the game's over.
So how often does it ever happen in Lions history that the Lions ever benefit from a ref making a mistake? We've had these 10-second runoffs in the past. Yeah, 0, right? We've had these 10-second runoffs in the past that have crushed us. And I'll never agree with the way that some of those things have gone down. I view this very simply. If a ref makes a mistake by calling a player in or out or whatever, and it's reviewed and they get it right, there is no reason why you still can't get it right. There shouldn't be some stupid rule that says, and you're going to have to forgive me because I have not looked up the exact rules yet on this, but if there is a rule that existed that said if a ref makes a mistake, but it's at this time, of the second quarter or you know what I'm saying? And then you have to do a 10-second runoff that it effectively ends the game like it's done to the Lions in the past. That is not something that should ever exist as a rule for any team. I don't care if it's for the Lions. It should not be a rule. The rule should be get it right, reset the ball, put the time on the clock, blow the whistle, go. That should be the rule. Get it right, not screw one team and help another. That is the dumbest rule I've ever heard of in my life. In this case, I don't think it necessarily hurt the Bears, other than the fact they got the call right. He was in bounds. That was the right call. Whether there was 16 seconds or 6 seconds on the clock, it really doesn't matter. They got the call right. If there was 16 seconds on the clock and he was out of bounds, then they should have put 16 back on the clock. The only way that it would have helped the Bears is that we score in 2 seconds, kick the ball off, and they've got one play worth of time left. That's the only way it helps them. And the way that game was going, Caleb wasn't going to put that ball anywhere anyway. I mean, they couldn't move the ball at that point. That's when the defense really started to start playing some good football. I mean, they played good football the majority of the night. Let me look at a few more of my notes. And I apologize because everything's so screwed up tonight. This is 2 weeks in a row. The pregame show wasn't what it was supposed to be. And now the postgame show doesn't have all the stats that I've created all these massive sheets for. Man. Let me get into the third quarter. I got to get my stats up. Okay. I want to talk about the Morton effect. Riley, I want to talk about that next. So this is what we're gonna be tracking for the rest of the season. I missed writing a couple of articles this week. I'll try to make it up. I didn't even put out all my calls, so I'm gonna have to go back and clip everything from the show, write it down, create an article. I'll put the clips in there too, so you guys can listen to it. I don't BS. I don't need to lie. I got a lot right this week. I don't think I did really well on my parlay, but we'll find out. I think I did really well with the Lions calls. I expected a different team. And Morton, man, you want to talk about a different third quarter. Let me go into the play-by-play. So the Bears get the ball. Let me go to all plays here. The start of the third quarter. The Bears get the ball to start. They punt. Okay? Lions get the ball. We get a field goal. Bears get the ball. They go out 5 plays on downs. Lions get the ball. We go 3 plays in a tutty. Bears get the ball. They punt. So in the third quarter, we put up 10 points. We scored on every opportunity that we touched the ball in the third quarter. How's that for a Morton effect? I think it's pretty damn good. When you go back and look at last season, going 15-2, how many times did we actually do anything in the third quarter? Now, there's one more key element to this, and that is when we actually get the ball first in the third quarter, because that's where we had the biggest difficulty over the last couple of seasons, is we get the ball coming out of the half, and we just look like a totally different team took the field. You know, we could put up 20 points in the first half or 28 points. You come out in the third quarter, and you're flat. There's just nothing going on. So far, okay, in 2 games, I'll have to pull up the Packers game real quick. I don't think the Packers game was very good, but I don't think, matter of fact, no, it wasn't. Let me pull that up, Riley, then I'll kick it back over to you. So on September 7th, 27-13, when the Lions lose in the third quarter, the Morton effect wasn't great. It wasn't great. However, we got our first possession. We got 3 points. So we still put up points with that possession. Where we failed is our second and only other possession in the third quarter. We had to punt. So far, Morton's put up 13 points in the third quarter on 4 possessions. That's not terrible. It's not terrible. It's pretty good. What do you think about the Morton effect so far, Riley?
Yeah, I love when we were talking last week. The second you said it, I was like, "Oh, that's a brilliant thing to track and to be mindful of." Because what I love is what we saw today. Again, my sister Sky texts me at halftime. JMO's not getting me anything. She's a little bit more colorful language than that. She's very competitive. I love that about her. And I said, "It's coming. Trust me, it's coming." And one catch, which I don't know how many distance through the air that ball traveled to get to JMO, but I know if it was a 65-yard reception, he ran for 50 of them, if not more. I just love that it was, okay, the Bears fans and Chicago, you could see the body language. You could feel they were demoralized. You could feel like, okay, the Lions, they've got the upper hand here. Like, it's just a matter of time now. And mind you, now JMO's just getting his first reception. So there's elements of the offense that are being introduced. So, the Lions dominated on offense. JMO had 2 catches. Tesla had 1. And that's it's only going to go up for these guys. And so JMO gets a touch, or his first touch goes 60 some odd yards. Yes, it stalls, but you get 3 points. At that point, given that you had shut Chicago out, forced them to punt their opening drive, to me, it was like that was most of the damage had been done on that drive. I think that was like the most effective 3 points, to further kill a team that you'll ever have out of a field goal. And then it just, it snowballed from there. The next time the Lions get the ball, if I'm not mistaken, was the one where JMO gets the touchdown, which looked just like it did in Chicago last year, where you see Goff wind up and just launch it. And it's like, oh, that's probably going to number one. Yeah, he's got 10 yards between him and the safety, and he's walking in the end zone. Just awesome to see. They just impose their will. And that's what you want to see. You want to have confidence that going into halftime, we saw it last week. The defense came out, they played better. Today, the offense came out, they played even better. So if that can continue to be kind of a thing that, that's the standard. No matter how well you do in the first half or how you play in the first half, the expectation is you go in the locker room, you tighten a few loose screws, and you come out and you play even better. And that's exactly what the Lions did today. So I love it, man. It's the Morton effect. Just one of those brainchilds from Will that, I really love. And it's great to see because, I'd kind of forgotten about it as a distant memory but Ben Johnson did the same thing today. Didn't score in the third quarter for Chicago.
Well, they didn't really score at all. I mean, we kind of allowed them to score in spurts, and a lot of that was because of our own mistakes. It seemed like, a lot of our own mistakes kind of cut us off and allowed them to get in the end zone. So, hold on here. Why is this thing not letting me sign in? Hold on. I'm trying to pull up NFL Pro real quick so I can take a look at a couple other things. I have to bring up a couple of things in the chat here. Why I'm signed in, so why get me out of here, please? My goodness. NFL Pro, I swear to goodness. Maybe it's just me, but every time I sign in, it tries to sell me something else. Like, hey, good news, you're in, you have access. Well, thank you. Then get me out of this screen that's trying to sell me some other upgrade. All right, in the chat. So there's a new name in here, and again, if I say it's new because this is the first time I'm really noticing the name. And this individual said a couple of things that, one, it's hilarious, and the second one's a good point. And I'm not saying nobody else has. I'm just saying I just noticed these two, and that's why I want to bring them up. And it's Sick Argument. He says, or you individual says, did the Lions only sign Tesla's right hand to the NFL, and the left hand is a holdout? Because he's only making plays with his right hand. I get it. I love it. And then there's another one, which I like this one because I said it the other day when this whole stat came out that Jared Goff is the stat came out, he was 0-19-1 against his former coordinators, or without McVay and without Ben Johnson. But really, that number should be like 3-18-1 ish or something like that, because he had the three wins in 2021. So, and that was under Anthony Lynn. The second thing is, where'd it go? Oh, I just lost it. I thought I had it. I'll get it back. All right, it says, are you aware that Goff is, and I have not validated these numbers, 16-6 now versus his former offensive coordinators, KLC, LaFleur, McVay, and now Ben. Yet he can't play without them, and they are the geniuses. Spot on, dude. Spot on. There's something that I've always hung on to, and it's something that Travis Kelce said a while back. Mahomes was at a wedding. No one can find him, right? No one can find the dude. It's before the season or something like that. And then they finally find Mahomes, and he's sitting out in the vehicle, and he's got like 500 sheets of paper everywhere, and he's studying plays during a wedding. He could care less about the wedding. He's in his vehicle studying plays. And Kelce said back then, man, you need a certain level of nerd to be a quarterback because you have to be wired different up here. You have to be very smart, right? You have to process at a certain level. And so I get what he was saying. Goff, dude, is straight nerd, man. The dude is so smart. And for him to be able to process the way that he does, like he's nerd in a good way. You know what I mean? Like he can really process. Dan Campbell said it again tonight that he can hold so much information. I don't think that Ben Johnson is necessarily the one, and I've been saying this, that has made Jared Goff who he is. I think that this offense was built around Jared Goff, using Jared Goff's brain of what works well for you. Let's do that. And it just so happens what works well for him is high timing routes, right? In a system offense that capitalizes on spacing and timing. And that's why he can close his eyes and pepper somebody, and make these plays because it's all muscle memory, man. It's just you feel it, bang, and you can find them. And he's done it. We've seen it. I got to share something with you guys tonight. So I'm in the store across the street from the main entrance there at Ford Field, and I've seen some bobbleheads. And there's some really, really cool new bobbleheads there. They're like $80 to $100, pretty expensive for a new bobblehead. And then I see this one on the way back, and it has a dented box. And I'm like, that one looks different. Let me grab that one. You won't believe what I just got tonight. Terrion Arnold's draft bobblehead. This is a super rare bobblehead. You're never going to find these things again. And it's obviously brand new. I mean, the box is dented, like I said. But Terrion Arnold's bobblehead from the draft, one that I've been looking for, and I finally found it tonight. What talk about right place, right time. I knew tonight was going to be good. I didn't share this with you guys either. So on the way this morning, I don't know, 6:30 in the morning, stopped to get gas. And I just let the pump stop, and when it stopped, it said 4774. I'm like, those are good numbers. I got this thing with 1111. So if you had the 4 and the 7 together, it's 11. If you had the 7 and 4 together, it's 11. 1111. So I took a picture, right? And I'm like, today's going to be a good day. I feel like Ice Cube today. It's going to be a great day. And it was, man. It was 51 points great today? It's a great day. NFL Pro, I want to get into that in just a second. I want to finish this thing on Mr. Morton here. I want to follow him throughout the rest of the year and see how he does. And follow our opponent and track, it's all dependent upon the game, right? Like how we're doing, what the score is, what the defense is doing. Are we capitalizing on turnovers? That's another one that we're going to have to start tracking. Are we capitalizing on turnovers or are we not? Are we getting points because getting points on turnovers, you're going to win games. There's a couple of things that really matter to me a lot that the Lions have done well at times and then they don't do well at times. Getting points on turnovers is one. Getting turnovers, period. If you can have a secondary that holds the receivers, past 3 seconds, and you can get turnovers, you're going to win a lot of football games because you're going to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback, right? Number one. And number two, you're going to give your offense more of an opportunity. I just said that last week again. Turnovers give the offense more opportunity. You put it in his hands, and he's going to do something with it. How many points did the Bears score tonight? 21. We were this close. We only want this defense to allow 19.99 points per game. And so right now, I think our average is just over 23. We allowed 27 the first week. This is another one of our trackers. 27 the first week, 21 the second week. So it's 24 points per game right now. So we're very close. We just need a couple of really good games to drive that number low. And I think the defense will get there, especially after what I saw tonight, man. Riley, while I'm pulling up some of these stats, were there any key stats that you wanted to share tonight or anything you want to add while I pull this up?
Yes, absolutely.
Go for it.
There's one that came right into mind that went right along with what you just said. Yes, obviously you want to take, you get turnovers, but more so if you capitalize on the turnover, you do that a couple of times in the NFL that you're probably going to be able to win that game. Here's what's crazy. total plays. Chicago ran 64. Detroit ran 58. So I always look at this and say, okay, like if you show me the box score, but you don't show me the final score before the game, if I could just see the stats, okay, so they run more plays, the chances that the Lions win by 30 just to me wouldn't have seemed very, legitimate, right? But that's a benefit, just like exactly what you talked about, turning the ball over a few times. I expected, I wanted to see Ben Johnson be in that situation where, okay, the student now is now you're going up against the master. The student fights the teacher here. You can't go into Detroit and be timid. You can't punt on 4th and 1. Not against that guy, not against Dan Campbell. And to Ben Johnson's credit, he did say post-game, he was asked about, are you mad about John Campbell going for it? And he closed his eyes like, what do you expect him to do? He understood that level of, competition. But I love, and Tyleek was huge on both 4th down stops for the Lions. This is a guy that's eating space. He's not getting a ton of stats, but he was pivotal in both of those. And then Kirby gets his first pick of the year. You add those up, and then that's how you beat a team by 30 points, despite them running 6 more plays than you. And again, just the way that first quarter went, if you said nobody saw that pending, I didn't see the pending, butt whooping that was just around the corner. And then, Caleb getting benched in the fourth quarter, it still just blows me away. So Chicago ran 6 more plays, but the Lions won the game by over 30 points.
Couple of good stats here in the chat. Auteur shared that another cool fact on Jared Goff, I think that's supposed to say stats, is most 50-point wins, I believe, all time for modern football, and then expanded upon that this was Goff's fifth 50-point victory in 10 seasons. Allen, Lamar, Mahomes only have 3 combined in 22 seasons. How slick is that? That's a pretty slick stat. I like it. Man. We are rounding the corner at 40 points, and I said that 50 burger's coming. It's coming, and you got to do it. So to answer the question about Ben Johnson, which, again, I'm going to play. You can check it out. I believe I uploaded the shorts, so they should be on the YouTube, and they're also on the Twitter at Will Rock Jr. Riley, I can never remember your Twitter, so you have to share it in a minute. But yeah, if you go check out the Twitter, I uploaded a lot of things too. So Ben Johnson was basically asked, I think the question was, how do you feel about Dan Campbell running up the score in the end there? And he's like, what do you expect him to do? Like, that's what Dan does in those situations. He doesn't kick field goals. What do you expect him to do? And he's exactly right. He doesn't feel any certain way about it. He would have done the same thing. 1,000% he would have done the same thing. And as a matter of fact, if the Lions really wanted to run up the score, they could have scored 60 tonight. Matter of fact, they probably could have scored 70 had they not missed out on a couple of turnovers they didn't get any points on. This could have gotten really way out of hand had we not handed the ball off a handful of times. But the Lions, they took care of business from all points, all stats. And a few of the Bear players or a few of the Bears media and other people that reached out to me, man, nothing but grace on their side. They congratulated. We got a lot of work to do. Ben's awesome. Caleb's not. So there's a lot of people that aren't liking Caleb right now. And like I said, Riley, I'm calling you out, man. Weren't you the one telling me how talented Caleb was after week 1? You were. And I said, hey, it's week 1. Just give it another week. We'll see how talented he is. I honestly expected Caleb to get us tonight with his legs, and he didn't. I expected there to be some big gash plays there, and he didn't do it. The Lions did a great job at bottling him up. And just like the Packers did a great job to us the first week, it's going to change, right? Week 18 and week 17, those are going to be some tough games, especially week 18. Like, if we can't get the run game going in December or January, in Chicago, outdoors at Soldier Field, which I'll be going solo to that game because I know that Megan won't go with me out to the cold. That's going to be a long game for us. It will. We have to get the ground game going. You have to. I don't have the exact stats here. Actually, I do. David Montgomery had earlier I thought I heard someone say Montgomery didn't get a lot of attempts tonight. He had 11. Gibbs only had 12. And 94 yards for Gibbs, 57 for Monty. Both had a TD. 7.8 yards per carry for Gibbs. Hold on. Monty has 5.2, which is insane as it is. And Gibbs has 7.8. My call for both of these guys was Gibbs plus 65 and Monty, I think, was plus 50, both to get a TD. I thought that Gibbs would get it through the pass game, and he did not. He did not get one through the air. But how about St. Brown, man? Player of the game. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff. Like they're co-players of the game for me. I couldn't separate them. Any which way that I would try, I couldn't. There's just no way. Because without St. Brown, there was no Goff tonight. Without Goff tonight, there was no St. Brown. There's no way that I could give one or the other the award. I just couldn't do it. Jared Goff, my God. I said this last week, if Jared Goff had to throw more than 27 times in this game, I would be surprised. And he threw 28. I said he'd go 21 of 27. He went 23 of 28. Pretty close call. That tells me everything that I expected Jared to do tonight, he did and then some. Like, he didn't have to throw the ball 30 times. One of my favorite stats that I've kind of made up is when you throw the ball more than 30, you're going to throw a pick. So if you can throw the ball less than 30 times a night, few and far between are you going to throw a pick. Caleb Williams, he threw the ball exactly 30 times. How many picks did he have? 1. Right? He actually had more than that. One of them got called back. 82% for Jared Goff tonight. 82.1%. The 156 rating that you were talking about earlier was actually a perfect rating at the end of the third quarter. 158.3 for Jared Goff at the end of the third quarter. Here's what I don't understand. I'm looking at the stats now. Let me go back to the picture because I took a picture of it and then I watched it change. I watched it go from 158 down to 157, down to 156. I'm like, what changed? Like, he's throwing more receptions and scoring more touchdowns. Why is the number going down? He was 19 of 24 for 311 yards, 13 average, 3 TDs, no interceptions, no sacks, with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. And all he did was throw 4 more balls and 4 more completions for 20 more yards, 23 more yards, and 2 more touchdowns. 5 touchdowns. How does the rating go from 158.3 to 156? So go for it.
I think the algorithm must have remembered, Ben Johnson's in the building, but he's not on the Lions sideline, so we got to take something away from Goff. I guess, I mean, I'm obviously being tongue-in-cheek, but it's crazy that narrative, like, you should know football better to I get it's emotional and you have these week-to-week reactions, but this goes back to one of the summer morning shows we had. You and I were talking about Goff and Burrow, and after you were done, I mean, I was like, man, is it just because I don't want to seem or sound too biased against it? I should be this is my guy. Like, Jared Goff you should know by now how good this dude is, right? And what Amon-Ra St. Brown said, and I love going on with what you're saying as far as the player of the game, split it, give it to him 1 each. Here's what Amon-Ra said about Jared Goff after the game. Quote, when you protect him and you let him see it, I think he's one of the best in the league. I mean, he showed who he is today, why we appreciate him so much as quarterback. This goes into the end quote. This goes into the stats that somebody was sharing earlier. Second time in Jared Goff's career with at least 300 passing yards, an 80% completion percentage, and 155 plus passer rating, tied with Tom Brady, Kurt Warner, Peyton Manning, and Lamar Jackson for the most in NFL history. Goff, 4 times now, after the Lions have lost a game, this is per Tim Twentyman from Detroit Lions, Goff has had a passer rating well above 100 and leading Detroit to convincing victories. People's personalities are different, but I'll tell you what, nobody was more upset last week leaving Lambeau Field than Jared Goff, and he channeled it, and he honed it, and he sat on it, and he fed it, and he nurtured it, and then he came out and used all of it, and he emptied the tank today, and he still had more to give, I feel. So I don't even know if emptying the tank is accurate, because, dude, he was toying with Chicago's defense. The line gave him some time, and just like you said, Will, it's hard to say him or St. Brown. I think you give them each, because Amon Roth, man, 3 touchdowns. And after everything he said about Ben Johnson during the week on his show, he had to show up and play a really good game, and that's what he did. And it's a damn good thing to be able to reasonably and reliably trust on your best players to play their best football. You know, you're not worried about St. Brown week in and week out.
And that's facts. It's absolutely facts. St. Brown, I didn't hear what he said about Ben Johnson. I think I heard a little bit on one of his shows. I was catching some snippets on that, you know, he absolutely wanted to get out there and smack him in the mouth. And, you know, you're coming back to Detroit. This isn't home anymore. So I get it. You know, I absolutely get it. Goff tonight, man. Dude, we got to give the claps for... Where's my claps? We got to give the claps for this offensive line. Holy cow. So everyone was worried, not everyone. A lot of people were worried about this offensive line. And look, I've had Tate Ratledge on my list for a while. He was my pick before the Lions picked him. I picked him the night of the draft live. There's a reason for that. Watch the film for this guy. He is a road grader. He just needs time to gel with the unit, and that's what Jared Goff said, is they gelled a little bit more this week. Manu, you know, he didn't start tonight like I thought he was going to start, and they were going to put Taylor in, you know, as needed. Taylor obviously played very well. Maybe he played through some pain. I don't know. I was a little disappointed that when Manu got in, he got a penalty for... it was either illegal shift or illegal formation. I think it was formation when we called 3 guys eligible tonight on the same play. The ref comes out there, he's like, and I'm just going to make up numbers, like 74, 58, 59, all eligible. And I'm like, what? That is a total F you, Ben call, because Ben was always calling somebody eligible every other play. And so we called 3 on one play, and I was just cracking up. And Manu, illegal formation. Outside of that, Manu got in, I believe, a few snaps for the swing tackle position. He played pretty well. This offensive line absolutely stood on business this week. Did what they had to do to get better. John Morton, Dan Campbell, great game plan. Hank Fraley getting that offensive line up to speed. You know, removing some of the mud, right? Clarifying it a little bit and saying, look, we're just going to go in with this plan and we're going to have some better communication. You just need to execute. Just do what you're here to do. Do your freaking job. Well, they did their job. They did a great job. Not only did they allow 7.8 yards per carry with Gibbs, 5.2 for Monty, right? But they allowed Jared Goff to stay clean in the pocket tonight. Absolutely clean. And you couldn't have asked for any more. You really couldn't have. I'm trying to pull up the stats for the actual game. What's weird is I can pull up the stats for Goff or for the both teams. But when I go to the stats, the passing stats, oh, this has to be Goff, but there's no picture. 3.11 in time to throw tonight. 3.11 seconds in time to... He only suffered 6 pressures all night long. 6. That is a damn good football game for these guys. On the other side, like I said, this was not a game about pressure for Caleb Williams. It's the exact opposite. Take your opportunity to strike when you can. Outside of that, bottle the dude up. Be a cobra when you need to be. 16 pressures for the Detroit Lions tonight. 43.2% quarterback pressure rate. 43.2%. Now, I don't have the blitz percentages just yet. I don't know how many, what the percentage was that the Lions are blitzing. It didn't seem to be a ton, but the Lions, we won't have all the insights till tomorrow. Well, wait a second. Yeah, I won't have all the stats till tomorrow. This is September 10. It's September 14. So the only thing that was updated for insights was Brian Branch blitzed twice in the Lions week 2 win. And like I've said, Brian is going to be one of your guys that I've highlighted this season that's going to be active in the defense game or in the blitz game on the defense. And I've been saying it all year. It's going to be Nickelback. It's going to be Brian. It's going to be our nickel. And you're going to see these linebackers being more active. I did that highlight of Shep the other day about what you may have forgot about Shep. And I went to the Dan Miller interview because in there, Shep said that Dan told him, look, I'm not going to give you any linebackers to even look at because that's where you're going to spend all your time. You're going to make the linebackers the highlight of the defense. When Shep said that way back then, that's when I started to think to myself, that's what this dude's going to do. You know he's going to. He's been a linebacker and linebackers coach his whole life. Of course he wants his guys to shine. Shep is actually doing a great job with not just doing that, but getting other guys involved. So all you hear is good things about Shep, man. How smart he is, how prepared he was, the intelligence of the game planning. And we're only into week 2. Like, where are we going to be week 8, man, I think is scary for everybody in the NFL. Especially for a team like the Bengals that just lost Joe Burrow. Like that week just went from a possible pivotal week to you're maybe not in the playoffs, depending on how the season goes between now and then, or now that should be a win if he's not in the game, right? And I hate to discredit, the backup because honestly, we don't know. They still have 2 supreme athletes on the outside, but anyway, Brian Branch blitzed twice tonight. Let's see here.
There's one.
Bears averaged just 4.7 yards per play and a 35.7% success rate on all of their drives. It's pretty low. It's really low. Taking a look at Caleb or Jared Goff's tree tonight, his passing chart. Remember how last week everything was below 5 yards? Well, this week, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 below 5 yards with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of them either at or behind the line of scrimmage. Everything else is north of 5, and the majority were north of 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 pass plays above 20 yards near between 15 and 20 yards. With 3 pass plays above 30 yards. Huge difference from week to week. Huge difference from week to week. And that's why this team had success tonight. The explosives were out of control. You couldn't stop these guys. Let's wrap this up, man. What else do you want to touch on tonight?
Yeah, there's the thought that comes to mind too, again, as I was listening, and that was Woobot just says he came from a Bears show, and obviously they're upset. I get it, because if the Lions had lost today, I can only imagine being 0-2 right now and feeling like already, you're up against it this season. But listening to my guy Harrison over there with the Bears pregame, and again, I feel like the guy does a very good job. He's very professional in his takes. He's kind of he's doing that like pregame, kind of convincing yourself maybe the Bears have this advantage here, and the argument was the coordinators are better, right? Dennis Allen on defense, he's got a great resume, and then Ben Johnson obviously is calling their plays there. I could see why he made the call, because what we saw from Morton and Shepard last week wasn't great. Here's what's crazy, and I was talking about this earlier in the chat. The Bears' prized first pick this draft, the guy that was supposed to be their Sam Laporta, 0 receptions today. Their second pick, a receiver, Luther Burden, 1 reception, 5 yards. I get there's no box score that's perfect. There's no football game that a team plays that's perfect. But if you're Ben Johnson, how your second game at Detroit, your some of your most valuable assets that you spent this offseason, besides a bunch of money which you put on towards the line, which I had the Bears offensive line rated higher than the Lions, didn't pan out today. Thank goodness. But you invest that resource and those assets, and you don't even feature those guys. You get 5 yards out of Luther Burden. It's wild. When Ben Johnson did his introductory press conference for the Bears, I'll admit, I watched kind of thinking like, man, I feel like this is going to be really good for him. I stand by. I from a talent standpoint, I like Caleb Williams. I don't know that his leadership's there, and it's even worse because Jaden Daniels is as good as he is. But it could hit the fan in Chicago quickly. We'll see. But just crazy, man, because again, it was they're calling before the game. I think our coordinators are better. They're going to scheme up better. That'll be an advantage for the Bears. The Lions put up 52 points, and just like you were eloquently describing there, Kelvin Shepard with a great game today, man. And it was just great to see the Lions just got better as the game went along. And you see Chicago last week, first drive, touchdown. Today, first drive, touchdown. So you can do it when it's scripted, right? And you really practice, and this is what we're going to do. But as the game unfolds, can you keep them above water, right? And what we saw today felt a lot like last year, both from a Lions standpoint and from Chicago, where they just, adversity hit, they folded. And as the game went on for the Lions, they just got better and better. And it felt like, man, this was a competitive first quarter. And then they were calling off the dogs. It felt like certainly in the fourth quarter, the second string guys were getting in. Kyle Allen got in. You took out your starters. And that's one thing we wanted to see too. When you have such a monumental lead, give some other guys some snaps. Just an all-around great day for the Lions. Great win. You'd take a win no matter how it came. But this was, like I said earlier, there's best case. There's, so good, better, best, right? This was the best case for the Lions to perform the way that they did today. And, man, I'm excited for this week of morning shows. Now we get ready and turn the page. And now you have to build off this. We're happy as hell tonight, rightfully so. Now you got to build off this. And it's going to be a tough test next Monday night in Baltimore. But great win for the Lions, and a victory tonight for Rocked On Detroit Lions.
Absolutely, man. Couple of things here. So I don't know what everyone's talking about in the chat about. Did they think that Hutch broke his leg tonight? Maybe that's going to be the play that I show you guys by Tuesday that you're talking about. There's going to be some things that this team did very well in this game, and there's going to be some things that I'm going to be critical on, because that's just what I do. I like to give you guys both. Like I'm not roses and rainbows. I'm not doom and gloom. I try to stay neutral and give you the truth and the transparency about the team and what they're doing well and what they're not doing well. We just had 2 more super chats in here. I can't forget to shout out Robbie. Ones says Burrow is out for 3 months. Bengals fire sale here soon. They just signed Trey Hendrickson to that deal. I would not be surprised if he's up on the trade block again. I would not be surprised. And they just inked their 2 wide receivers too. So I'm going to throw this back into all your Lions fans' laps. This is the kind of stuff that can happen to a team. You go out and spend a boatload of money, and then your season could be derailed because you just lost your QB, or you lost your star wide receivers, or you lost, a couple of star players on your defense. It's never just one player unless it's the QB. there's a couple of backups that have gone the distance. Nick Foles is one. And I honestly I can't even think of another one right now off the top of my head. I'm sure there's another one that exists. So yeah, maybe they'll be looking. Art Vandalay says, appreciate you guys and the chat. Appreciate you too, Art. And there was something else in here too. That similar thing that I put on my Twitter tonight when it was just before Mahogany went down. And I don't know the extent of his injury right now. I don't think we got any injury updates tonight in the press conferences. The thing that I said just before this, like, Dan, like, this is the time that I'm pulling everybody that you can. You know, it's not like you have a ton of people that you can pull out because you're only there with 48 guys, right? And you only have so many guys that can play. But he did. He did a good job at getting just about everybody out that he could. And I thought that was smart. I thought it was real smart. You don't want to take a risk. It's an unnecessary risk. Goff had enough stats. Like, dude, don't risk it, man. Like, just get those guys out. And it doesn't mean that those guys won't suffer an injury. And they're needed. They're part of the team. They're quality depth. They're spot starters. I don't want to forget about Monty Rice tonight, a guy that we just picked up. And I even said it, you know, when I spoke about him. I did a video about him with the sneaky moves. I mentioned it in last week's morning show that this was a very good pickup. And even though he doesn't have a ton of action, he still kind of does. 120 plus tackles. He's a special teams ace on all four sides of the special teams. And tonight he made a couple of key plays. He had a bonehead penalty, but he also made some key plays. So there wasn't really anybody in this game that was not producing. If they were there for a reason and they were making plays. The one thing I didn't see tonight is our penalties, Riley. Like, I don't know how many penalties we have. I didn't think it was a lot. I think we did fairly well there. And then let me walk this down real quick. TFLs. Branch had 2 TFLs. Muhammad had a TFL. Davenport and Hutchinson had a TFL, which they're probably recording those as sacks. Maybe not. Muhammad, Davenport, Hutch, TFLs. Branch, TFL. That's 5 TFLs there. 1 forced fumble by Branch. Hell of a game. Kirby Joseph with the interception. These aren't the full stats. Obviously, I'll have to dig into that tomorrow. Anyway, tomorrow I'm going to plan on taking a lot of calls in the morning show because I'm going to be absolutely gassed. I want to be exhausted. So I'll plan on taking some calls tomorrow. I'm going to stay up tonight. I'm going to call Roadcaster right now in Australia, and I'm going to get this crap figured out and make sure I get it fixed before tomorrow morning. Plan on being back at 8 o'clock in the morning. I want to walk through some more things. I'll have some more time, hopefully, to crack it on to get a couple of things dialed up. But, man, great win. On to the next one. Man, Baltimore, this is it's a big game. This is a tough game. It's an away game. It's not a nice atmosphere. But I got to tell you, if we end up fairly okay injury-wise out of this tonight, we're doing a great job at bottling up good quarterbacks. I mean, back-to-back weeks, you're going up against mobile quarterbacks. And we bottle them up. And so I'm not afraid of Lamar Jackson from that perspective. He's been in the league a long time now. Lamar Jackson does not want to run the football. He would much rather pass the football. So you bottle him up and it forces him to pass. And I'm not saying that that's even a much better option for us because we still have to worry about Henry. It'd be an interesting game week, man, but this is a great game. It was a good stepping stone. Wrap it up in 30.
Yeah, man, I was texting Will and Eric. I'm so excited for this week. It shows I would have been anyway, but, you know, it's obviously easy to build off of the great feeling of a win. And again, it just was an awesome performance. Felt like 2024 Detroit Lions. So we want to just keep building on that. And then, bring on Baltimore. Be a hell of a challenge. Monday Night Football. I can't wait for next week. But appreciate everybody joining us tonight. And great day to be a Lion.
All right. Appreciate you guys joining us tonight. I apologize about all of the technical stuff. I'll have to get it fixed. That's all I can say. Didn't have these issues all week, and now we have them tonight. But we'll make sure I get it fixed for the rest of the week. So, Lions win, man, 52 to 21 tonight. Jared Goff, 5 tutties. I'm on Raw, 3 of them. Everybody was having fun, man. Everyone was getting along in the sandbox tonight in Detroit, except for the Bears. They get to go burrow their ass back home and go back to sleep because that's where they belong. We'll see them in Week 18. It's going to be a different team, and it's going to have a different meaning. And I'm just hoping that we don't have to suit anybody up. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that we can send Kyle Allen and everybody on the practice squad, and we get to rest a few guys. That's what I'm hoping for. But we'll see where it goes, man. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Go One Pride, go Detroit Lions. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, game time, Detroit, and you found the right place for the latest Detroit Lions news. So hop on in and take the ride to Super Bowl 60 with Rocked On Detroit Lions. Join Will Rock, Eric Rintamaki, and Riley O'Brien today on the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Good morning. All right, that's it. We're out of here. Peace. Go One Pride. We'll see you. Adios.
Please leave your message.